Jesus fucking Christ.
You're super tight, asshole.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's
Tight
tight.
coat,
It's
asshole.
tight. It's tight. I keep it tight because it costs money. If you want to get in that asshole, it costs money.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for it! Europe Podcast!
Welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Wait a minute. I have to set up my soundboard here for Albert, or else he'll complain and tell me that I can't get shit done.
Rightfully so.
Jesus,
so.
fucking right. Today's not even Thursday; it's Tuesday.
Oh, right. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
have
it's
any
Tuesday.
vacation days.
No, me neither.
Me, fuck.
Everything
wait a
is
minute.
the
Wait.
same. Don't stress out,
Wait.
Keith. Calm down,
Wait a
baby.
minute.
Calm down.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna light the cigarette. Is that okay?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't mind. I don't mind smoke in the room.
I'm lighting some G10 right next to me.
I'm lighting a
Sniffing some
lighter.
G10.
Yeah, as an air refresher.
Oh yeah, the knifematerial.at new air freshener.
Fuck
Yeah.
me in the goat. Fuck me in the goat ass.
Yeah, you have a very nice goat ass.
I have a very nice goat ass.
Good ass.
Did you guys hear the shit from my boss that just called me?
Yes.
Did that come on the air?
Yeah. Yeah.
we
it
heard-
did.
I
heard-
think that was awesome. That was an awesome intro. I think Albert should use that. That was
You
awesome.
were not recording. Fucking.
Fuck, that's right. I wasn't recording.
So
Jesus.
to
I know.
recap, Keith ran into another car and his boss called him now to get back to work.
And he was
fuck,
complaining.
I ran-
No,
no, I-
Mr. Boss, I,
I
did
ran
not.
to nothing.
I can drive. I can drive.
I ran into nothing. Fucking motherfuckers! You can't do anything outside of the normal work hours. If you want to make a couple bucks on the side, everybody wants to fuck you in the asshole.
So how much G10 do I have to buy from you?
How bad is it?
How much do you want to get into that tight asshole? That's
You
what-
better.
That's the
you better
question.
call Saul.
I got like 2 full centimeters. Small.
2 centimeters. Jesus
only.
Christ.
Yeah.
I feel so bad
Yeah.
for Albert. He has to listen to this.
2 centimeters. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's immense. It's huge.
Immense, huge. That's almost an inch.
A huge 2 centimeters is like a
Yeah, and not
big-
even that girthy. So
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a.
Would you?
It's like a
Would you like
uh,
2 huge centimeters or 18 small centimeters?
that's the question.
It's better. Bigger is better.
I'm hoping that Albert can like edit all the shit in, but so you were on 63 HIV podcast today.
Yes. And then I'm podcast works today. I'm
Okay.
doing all the podcasts that I can. And just talking about the knife show, the Jagd und Hund, which was in Dortmund. And then also I spoke to you about the project, I think, which I can announce yet somehow, that I'm making, or not really making, but I have a contract, I would say, with a company, and we are making, or they are making, a folding knife with me in collaboration.
Oh hell yeah! That sounds exciting.
It is. And it should come out end of the year, but not sure.
That's super
works
quick.
out.
That's super
But-
quick. I heard that designs come like 2-year cycles when you give them a design, and they still
Yeah.
need to work out the details.
We already have like a plan and everything, so that should work out. Now we just have to finalize all the details on how it works. We have a rough design, and then we are planning out this, I think, this month or so. I have to get in contact with the designer to speak about the final details, if everything can work out like that, and if I like how he designed it. And then everything can start up and getting prototypes printed, because we're also doing like 3D prints out of plastic to see and feel how the knife works, and then we can send it off, and then it's getting made.
Is it like I don't know how much I can ask about it, but is it like I will try and poke it, is it like a collaboration with that company, or the designer is a technical designer who helps with the actual assembly of the the mechanics of all of it?
So he knows everything about folding knives, because I'm a total noob in folding knives. I only know what like a flipper is, and that's it. And maybe a frame lock. So I gave them like a rough sketching on how I would like to have the knife look, and then they're designing around that, and then we have to see if everything works out like that, or maybe we probably have to do some small changes, because we're taking one of my fixed blades and turning this knife into a folding knife, and then sometimes you just have to do some changes because of the size and where the pivot is and everything. So maybe you have to enlarge in some parts and adding like the flipper and everything. So it won't look as like a 1-to-1 to like the fixed blade, but it will be super, super similar. And now we're just working out the details, and then everything should be fine.
You know how they say, the devil is in the details. So I guess you have
but
to...
we have a really cool guy on our hands. He is like an expert in 3D printing. So we can have the design ready, and then we can 3D print it, and then we're getting like a prototype made, and then everything should be really great. I've seen some folding knives from this dude, and he makes incredible folding knives, and then everything gets sent off to the company that actually produces all the knives then in the end.
Is the designer German?
No, he's a Spanish guy.
Spanish
like
guy.
I can talk about like who the company is. It is Bassett Knives.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already working with UG Tools from the German company. They're having a collaboration, and now we are working on a collaboration as well. And they have like a lot of folding knives already, fixed blades and all that kind of stuff. So now we're actually working on that. So I have to get in contact with the designer. I met him on Saturday. We spoke about it, and now we just have to write us and then see where we go from there. So it should work out, hopefully this year, but we'll see. A good estimation would be end of this year, but I'm probably guessing beginning of next year.
Yeah,
just
that
don't want to keep my
optimistic.
hopes up too high, and then in the end, it's getting delayed. Maybe you never know what happens. So we'll see what happens. But I'm super excited about this folding knife, because a lot of guys ask me about a folding knife, but I said I never want to build myself folding knives in my workshop. I always want to have one, but I want to get it produced, and now I got the chance with the company together to make that happen.
Oh, while Keith is muted and is getting fucked in the ass by his boss because he crashed today, I guess we can do a proper takeover of this podcast, Hopefully
so now
it
we are
comes
the
out.
hosts.
Exactly. Hopefully you are now one of the two hosts of the show.
Yeah. So
yeah.
am I Matt now?
Yeah, you can be whoever you want. You can be
Matt
Keith.
I'm Matt Works now.
Yeah, Matt works. Fryer works, actually. Yeah. So
Wifey works.
This collaboration sounds like a pretty big deal. Like, there will be a folder with your name on it in some sort. Are there any strings attached to it? Like, you cannot yourself produce this design, or licensing deals that you have to keep into account?
Yes. So I also have another contract with another company, and they're saying like if I give them my design, I can then I can still produce the knife. They also want to have me produce that knife for like a fixed blade, because I have also 2 contracts now for 2 fixed blades with another company. And I've asked them, and they want me to still make that knife, because it's going to be like the budget version of that. And I'm still making the handmade version of that. So if someone wants to spend like $250 to $300 because they want the handmade version, then they can still buy it from me. Or if they want to go the budget route, they can still buy this knife then. So they are still saying like, yep, you can still make that. So that's mostly the case with those contracts. And with the folding knife, the thing is, I could make it, but I don't see the reason behind it, because then I would have to make like a lot of changes, because with the folding knife, if I would just produce it, it would like be triple the cost if I would handmade it. The only thing what I will probably do is I will have some folding knives, and then I will customize those produced folding knives with like Cerakote finishes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to like customize them and then putting them on my website.
You can add some jazz to them and be
right.
more custom. But I feel like me and you, we are in a very similar pot of doing a higher volumes of production. And it's, I guess, for us would be kind of harder to have these deals with bigger companies who make, who would like make a budget line of our model, where I can see like one-off makers have it way more convenient, because they know they are not directly, competing with big makers, with the big companies that could license their designs. And these big companies are totally okay with you as a super small custom maker to make 1 or 5 pieces per month or whatever. But in our position, where we have like way bigger production capabilities, I feel like we are in this a little bit hard position to have these licensing deals, because we ourselves are working in a different price bracket and in different knife amount of bracket.
Yeah. So the thing is like, because our knives are not like super highly expensive. Let's say like Mamasi Fire Arts, he makes like 5 or 4 knives in a month. They're like super expensive. And then if a company would come in and say like, hey, we're making now one of your knives, but then it's more affordable. But with our knives, they're not like super high priced. And then people are saying like, why should I pay like $250? And then this guy had like the company makes the knife for like 120 or so. So it's sometimes super tricky, but I still got like so many designs out there. So if this is like a commercial knife, because the thing is, I don't make that much money on those contracts, but what I get from that is like commercial. Like the knife gets put out to like, let's say Blade HQ and all those big branded stores, and then people will see my name. And when someone Googles me, and then the knives are popping up, and then it says like, oh, he makes knives with this company and this company, so he has to be like a good knife maker. It's like a good reputation for me. So therefore those contracts are good, but I know what you mean. It's sometimes hard to explain then in the end, like, why should they spend the 150 euros more than with the production knife from this company?
And maybe it goes even in the reverse order, where they see it on the production company's page, and they see, oh, look, the real deal from the maker itself is just like, let's say $100 or $150 more, but you get the high-end stuff, and maybe then they don't buy from them, and it feels like it is way easier for us to cannibalize each other with the big companies. And I think to get the deal correct, it's a little bit harder. But also I feel like it's a huge milestone, just like you said, to get your name out there. And also in your case, I would feel this, big pride where you have your design made by a big company and out there in multiple stores. Even like having your design, I guess, having in a in Circle K, where you can buy this knife and you can see your design, even if it is super cheap. It's so rewarding. And it's like you getting this. Maybe you could even tell more about your knife winning the best outdoors knife in Jagdkund.
Oh yeah, it was the best hunting knife. That was kind of cool because the weird thing was like I also competed last year. And we got like emails like, hey, do you want to take a part in this contest? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then they wrote me again, or they called me like, hey, do you want to take part in this contest? Because we don't have that many people like competing. And I was like, yeah, sure, I will take a part and everything. And then this year, I arrived on Monday and the show started on Tuesday. And, then I spoke with the other guys because UG Tools was also there and Knife Lounge was also there. And then we're just setting up our booths and everything. And they were like, yeah, we're just going to bring the knives for the competition up to the show office. And I was like, there's a competition this year? They were, yeah, there's a competition. I was like, what? Haven't you gotten the email? I was like, no, they haven't wrote me any kind of email this year. And then I went also up there. I was like, all right, I also use that knife in my hunting classes now when we were on the hunt, actually, because I'm now just making my hunting license. And I always carried this knife and I was like, all right, I have the same knife in my case. I'm just going to grab this one. It has like orange scales. That should be fine. It's like the hunting theme. And I was like, all right, there you go. Here it is. And then they said like, yeah. And then in the evening, they wrote me like an email with like, can you give us the name of the knife, your company and all that kind of stuff. And I wrote them back. And then on the next morning, it was in like a showcase, like in a glass case. Out there. And then on Saturday there was like the ceremony for the award, and yeah, then I won. They really liked it and I was kind of happy because there are also like big brands in the hunting game, like one is called Dick. I know. They won last year, I think. And then there's also like the big brand like Puma, which is like super high in like the hunting scene in Germany. And it's also a company from Solingen, but they make like really classical knives with like deer antler and all that kind of stuff. And it was super cool to see like a more modern knife that won, and instead of like one of those classical knives again, because that is the thing that I see in our hunting community in Germany. It's still so traditional and they keep holding on some traditions which are like, I don't really like. There are some traditions that I can totally stand behind, but some are just like super kind of lame and they don't want to modernize. They don't want to be a part of the kind of more modern hunting community, which I don't understand why, but so it was super cool that like one of the newer style knives won, and I was super pleased with that.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. It was the first prize I've ever won.
Will you participate in Knife Show Austria outdoors competition?
Yeah, but I don't know what I should put in there. Probably I'm going to put in my Indomitor knife. It's just like, yeah, it's my top seller knife, which is meant for outdoor EDC, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, probably going to put that in, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I know that I will put in my production model, but make it extra fine, make it extra nice. So
yeah, I thought about it because I'm also planning on making like a Damascus version of the Indomitor. So I'm thinking about putting that in. So to make it maybe a little bit more fancy, but I'm not sure, because then I have like two birds with one stone, can make a cool video out of it, and I also can put it into the knife making contest. So we'll see.
Actually, we had Hubert on the show a few weeks back, and
Yeah, I've listened to it.
I interrogated him about this, and he said that Damascus would not affect the final score. It's basically fit and finish and functionality.
Yeah, it's just a tiebreaker in the end, I think. Or no, it was the sheath. It's the tiebreaker.
It was the sheet. I was very, very sad about that.
Yeah, but the thing is, because Martin always calls me Grindworks, and if I put in a forged knife, then maybe hopefully he calls me one day Forgeworks. You know, that would be the prize for me. You know, I don't have to win. Only that he has to say to me, "You're not Grindworks anymore."
Don't seek his approval. Don't seek his approval. You will never get this. You will never get this.
It's just my wettest dream.
I know. Oh, we can also talk about your how's your YouTube going? Because I saw you are really, really pushing it. You are for the whole week. You were in the big exhibition, in the big show, and you were still producing and editing some videos in the hotel, right?
Yeah. I was couldn't finish everything, so I was kind of pushing it. It is going slow, I would say, which is sometimes a little bit frustrating. But now I'm trying like out new projects. I'm trying out like more forging videos. So I'm always like trying to find my way. But sometimes it's like super weird. Then I'm making just like, all right, I have like a big order, and then this video hits really good. And then I'm making like a similar video and it goes really bad. So it is super, super weird. Also, I've made like a year ago, I made like my tactical sword video, which was super, super nice. And then I made like a tactical katana video, and it just was like super bad. And I was like, what is going on?
Really? Tactical katana was bad?
Yeah, it was one of the baddest videos in like the last month.
That defies all of the YouTube laws for knife makers, because if you put wakizashi, katana, or whatever Damascus in the title, it should be big. The video should be big.
But I'm now just finished a video which was super great. I'm not sure if I sent it to you on the Instagram. Let me just see. No, I haven't.
I don't think. You only send me memes. You only send me memes.
that is the thing. But I can just send it to you, and then you can gobble over it, which is super, super nice. I've just send it to you. Just working on a Roman gladius with Damascus.
Oh, fuck. This looks so cool.
Yeah.
And the pattern. Oh,
yeah,
it's so bright. And
yeah, the etching went super, super bad. Because I put it in like the ferrochloride etch went just as normal, and I cleaned it up with like 2000 grit, and then I put it into the instant coffee, and then on the next morning I took it out, and like half of the blade got dark and the other half just stayed as like hand polished. It was super weird, and I was like super frustrated, like what is going on? And then on Monday I put it back in, and I just left it in there until today. And now it is like fantastic. It just looks so amazing. And we also got a rock pattern handle, which is also super nice.
Classical move from G10.
Yeah.
And
from knifematerial.at, which you can get now.
And Keith is still getting fucked by his boss. He's still muted. He's like, He was the most incoherent I ever heard of, Keith. Seems like, no, it wasn't hit and run. I did not hit that car.
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was. I don't know. I'm getting fucked. He was like, basically, he felt he was the energy of 5-star GTA, where you are running from the cops. So he was basically running from the helicopter. So hopefully everything is fine, Keith. We can salvage this show. But it's so fun. Yeah. That's right.
So yeah, the Gladius is super awesome. It's coming out on the 13th of March. So on Thursday. Not sure when this podcast is going live. So it should be out by then.
Yes, it will.
So I hope this should go well.
Yeah, hopefully. Go peeps. Go to
Yeah, I
Forgeworks
also-
YouTube channel and watch the Gladius video.
And I also built a Roman shield. But you gotta
Does it-
watch the video for it.
Does it have rock pattern?
No, it's a pretty basic shield, but let's say the outside of the shield has something monstrous about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I like it.
You like-
People that know me know that I like.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
Yeah,
I got
so-
That's enough. I got it.
Yeah.
If you don't got it, you just go and watch Chris's boy video and give it a like, subscribe. You are going for 4,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah, I'm now at like 3,450. 3,450 just checked. No, I'm now at 3,454.
Congratulations. That's
Yeah.
a lot. That's way more than mine.
Yeah, so it is super weird, but now I'm just trying to. So my plan is now, because sometimes I was just like doing a forging video, then I wasn't making a normal video about just like knife making, and then I was making like a bigger project, and now I'm trying to maybe so the algorithm sees like, oh, he's just doing like forging videos. So now I'm just trying to push out like some forging videos, like forging video after forging video, to get in that algorithm. Don't know how it works, if it will work, but we'll see. And this is just my plan at the moment. And I got some cool projects planned for the future, but it sucks out a lot of time out of my week.
I wonder if it actually matters what type of content the channel puts out, because I feel like from a viewer's perspective, when you are viewing just YouTube, they are mostly now the algorithm doesn't really seem to care about subscribers and to what you are subscribed, and it is really efficient at categorizing videos to some sort of small, let's say, interest buckets where you watch one video in a very specific sense. Let's say I watch a lore about Warhammer 40k, and then I get suggested videos not only from the same video creator, but also from other creators with, sometimes similar videos.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, I've seen that on YouTube now, which was super strange to me. That because normally when I just watched YouTube and you have those recommendations on the side, they were like always videos with like thousands of views, and now I suddenly get like recommendations for like a video that has like 10 views or so, which I
Same here.
normally never had. So somehow they changed it, but I just want to get in like the flow. I just want to, and forging is super fun. And it's also cooler for the video because when you're always making just like stock removal knives, it's in the end basically the same. And with Damascus, you can always try different patterns, do a little bit different forging techniques, like a canister weld or like a mosaic kind of a weld. So it's always a little bit different. But with like stock removal, in the end, it's always just the same. And you can see it really great with like Martin's videos. It's more, I think, about also entertainment than just showing off your work. And that is what I also changed up in the latest videos. So I have like more clips with me like talking instead of like showing like one video of me just like grinding and doing all that kind of stuff. So shorter clips of that, but you still kind of see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to talk more. So people are, because most of the times people are sitting and eating in front of the couch watching that video, so they constantly want to have someone like talking. It's the same with like audiobooks or listening to podcasts. So that's why I'm just trying to change that up. So I'm doing more talking parts. And in the past, I did like a little bit of talking, then showing what I'm doing the whole time without talking. Then I kind of tried the voiceovers, but I wasn't really into voiceovers that much. And now I'm just trying to kind of like doing more talking, less showing kind of, but still doing like cool scenes and everything, and then having that end result, and also longer videos that I'm also trying out.
Martin always says he watches my videos when he's eating. So this is my motivation to make sometimes a video. But you need to get into a very specific rhythm that is hard to nail down, where you keep the attention of the viewer. And I think I saw a few new videos from Onur Kaglar, the Dice in Every Film. Maybe do you know him?
No.
I would highly recommend to check out Dice in Every Film on YouTube and on Instagram. He's also a knife maker and mostly content creator. And his latest videos, he's a little bit freakish, but he has this perfect rhythm of showing enough of the process. So for me, it is interesting. And also having very short bits of him talking in a very... he says a lot of information with little words, yet so it is very captivating, and he makes funny faces. So I would highly recommend you checking.
How's
him
he
out.
called? Dice and
in every film.
In every film. It's also the same with like Alex Steele. Like he is like a really jumpy guy, I would say, and he's just like doing a lot of entertainment as well, and people like to see that it's not like super boring. And sometimes because the thing is, I don't have like a cameraman. I'm doing it all by myself, and I also have to finish up all the custom orders, and I'm really early in the morning in the workshop, and then it's like super hard to sometimes like be awake and be like super highly motivated and like being like
high energy,
like a crack cat, like let's go, let's forge, and doing all that kind of stuff. Because the interesting thing is I've had that on we had like a German outdoor show. It's called Seven vs. Wild. And I've made like a knife for 2 streamers and YouTubers. They went to that show, and they are staying like 14 days out in like Canada or so. And I've made them a knife, and then we also recorded some parts for my video. I visited them, brought them the knife and everything. And it was super crazy to me to see, because we just normally spoke, and then as soon as the camera started, they changed. And they went into like a kind of mode, being like super highly active and everything. And before that, they were just speaking normal. And as soon as they heard cameras are rolling, they changed, and they went into like a kind of like
character, different amplitude.
Character. Yeah, it was super crazy.
It happens. Oftentimes happens. I feel myself when I'm especially doing TikToks, that when I want to be, this high pace, high energy, but sometimes in the mornings, especially, I sound like Keith at the start of this podcast, very incoherent. So, and dizzy, and this is not what people really want to hear. And you feel this need to actually maintain the focus of the viewer and to give actual value of it, so it makes you more, like you said, crackheady. You need to deliver.
Totally true. And also when that's why I also kind of stopped with like the voiceovers, was I always thought I was speaking like so motivated and everything, and then I listened to it and I was like, dude, like, why do I sound so sleepy? Like, I was like super motivated, and then sometimes you're like recording it like 5 times, and then you're like, Jesus, God damn it. Like, you're just like kind of pissed. But the other thing is, in my workshop, like my neighbors are right next to me, and they have like a big crane moving in the workshop where I am in. So it sometimes moves over my head, and then they're moving like material and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes it's like super, super loud, and I'm just trying to record something. And we also got like a driving school for cars outside. And when they have their driving exam, they have to like horn the car, you know, and it's always like I'm trying to record something and then someone like horns on the car and I'm like, oh, god damn it. And then close by we also have like an emergency ambulance. It's like 5 minutes from me and they are always like driving out there, and I have like on the left hand side of my workshop there's like the main road, so they're hitting down that road. I'm like, oh Jesus. It's so often like some disturbance, and then you have to record it again and again, and then you sometimes like the motivation goes sometimes back, but sometimes I always want to make it like kind of perfect, but in the end you have to kind of see it how it is and cut like stuff like that in, that you're getting disturbed, that the stuff is normal, and or the compressor goes off at like the moment you're recording. Put stuff in there, and I try to leave stuff in there, try to keep mistakes in there that makes it kind of more like funny and humorous, instead of just being everything is perfect, the sound is good, I speak really good to the camera, I don't misspell anything or so. I try to now keep it more like how I am, you know,
organic. Because
sometimes you just misspeak, you know, it is how it is.
I guess Albert kind of hates me for this saying, but I think that perfect is opposite of good. So you need to, something sometimes is just good enough, you know, and if you want it to be perfect, you will never release anything, and you have to cut corners sometimes. And like most feedback from knife makers who do the 2-hour, 3-hour challenge in making knives, you can actually see when you are taking some shortcuts, you realize that there are some processes that could be more efficient. You are thinking about, you are in a different mindset. And when you have this, when you are not in this mindset of everything needs to be perfect, you allow yourself to do mistakes and show those mistakes. It feels more genuine. And sometimes it allows for happy accidents where maybe something really funny happens, or maybe you find a new bit that you could use in your videos. Especially I really liked, you know, you doing some outtakes at the end of the videos. Yes, of course, sometimes you look really fucking tired, but that is normal. You are running a small business and a YouTube channel, you know, and doing other stuff. So it's fine to be tired, but it is also fun for me to see that you are tired, because it gives me this relationship with you, I guess.
Yeah.
Parasocial relationship where I can see your, you know, maybe it is.
He's also just a human being
exactly.
that is also just like strained to the limit, you know?
Yeah.
And also like some people like wrote into the comments, I like that you're showing mistakes, or I like that you, because like I'm now at the moment just learning on like how I forged my Damascus. These are like my first, I think I forged now like 10 Damascus billets or so. Mm-hmm. And I still do mistakes. I still learn new things. And sometimes I have like a much bigger project, like with the Damascus Bowie. I wanted to make like a Firestorm Damascus, and stuff went terribly wrong. And then in the end, I just had like a kind of cool twisted Damascus, but I still like published the video, and I didn't re-weld a whole new billet to refilm everything. I don't have the time, but in the end I still got like a really cool knife. And the thing is, I learned everything, and probably you as well, about YouTube. I learned everything about knife making about with YouTube, and in those videos most of the times you see like the perfect knife in the end, and this sometimes can discourage you to like, or I tried now to follow all his steps in his video, but my knife didn't turn out as his knife. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I'd also try to show like, hey, not everything goes as smooth, and I'm making knives now for like 7 years, and I still do mistakes. So keep going, keep grinding on, and you will get there one day. But it just takes time. And even if you are the best craftsman out there, you're still going to make mistakes. And I'm just trying to share that message, I would say, to let's say younger knife makers, or knife makers that are coming into the community, and show them that not everything goes how you think. And I think this is a really important message.
I would say this is a perfect message and a perfect, words to live by and to spread this message. And I think this is also a great spot in this show to tell you all, dear listeners, about our new sponsor. Yes, this show got fucking sponsored thanks
Let's
to...
go.
Yeah, exactly. So I worked out a sponsorship deal. Now we are not only beautiful, pretty boys, not only super famous thanks to this podcast. Jesus, the attention that I get. Now we will also be fucking rich. So big thanks. I reached out to my friends who are in the maker community and to talk about possible sponsorships. And I am super happy to announce that minihell.eu is sponsoring this episode. He makes Baltazar, my good friend. He makes heat treatment ovens. I got one actually for 5 years now in my workshop, and it is working flawlessly. When I started knife making, like the having a heat treatment oven was a super huge expense, and I was cheap as hell, and I wanted to build one of my own where I had 2 failed attempts just because of the I used high temperature cement, which was not really correct up to the temperatures, and bad bricks that expanded actually and ripped apart, which was also another headache, and spent way too much time and too much money on it. So, dear listeners, go to minihell.eu and you can buy yourself a great professional heat treatment oven. My friend Baltazar, he offers even 2 different controllers. One of them is super simple, where you just input the temperature and press go and it goes into the temperature. And he has a super fancy one, which is called Novus, where you can program different ramp times and ramp temperatures and ramp rates. It is very sophisticated and super insanely accurate. Baltazar told me it holds from plus or minus 1 degree, which sounds for me insane, but I'm a big dumb in this sphere, and I would love to get Baltazar on this show to talk more about ovens. So if you could, please go to Instagram, mini_hell_kilns, follow him and shoot him a message. Baltazar, don't be shy, come on to the show and we can talk about kilns. And while you are on his website, you can also buy heat treatment foil and knife racks for heat treating multiple knives at once. And that is not all. We also got a discount code. So not only we get value, you also get value. When you are going to buy your next kiln on minihell.eu, input WFI5 and get 5% off. And you would say like, look, 5% is not that much. But when you are buying a 1,200 euros oven, you get 60 euros off. That means you can spend that money and buy some fancy steel like Elmax or whatever, make 2 magnificent knives for 300 euros, and you got the kiln for half of your price. So yeah, minihell.eu. Let's go.
Now that you're speaking about them, I also checked out their heat treating kilns, because one day I want to get like I've seen they are making like also like custom really long heat treating kilns, like with like 1,200 millimeters long. Because I kind of like it was always like the dream of me to build like swords, and then I was like, your swords are kind of big and everything, so let's rather stick with knives. But like from my childhood and watching Lord of the Rings, like I always want to build like swords, but heat treating them in a forge is
it's pretty hard.
Yeah, it's hard, super hard, and I have to like write them and get a quote for like a super long heat treating oven to get like a really nice kiln for sword heat treating. This is like a really good.
Yeah, and you can get it. You can get it
5%.
You can 5% off, and also I forgot to tell. Baltazar said that he can make any size you want. So if you want to heat treat one sword at a time, you can have a small chamber, maybe a thin chamber, but that is super long, and maybe have it vertical. if you go to his Instagram, you can see all kinds of different kilns that he has built, even a tempering oven with a load capacity of 200 kilograms. Like what? So please send him a DM on Instagram and get him go on the show. Yeah, and Keith is back. Jesus
I'm
Christ.
back. I'm back. Paulius, thanks for holding the podcast while I was gone. I had a little run-in with the police.
So you are in handcuffs now, and you are getting...
No.
Keith took the microphone with him in the police car.
That would have been good. I wanted to take it. They asked me, like, you're doing a podcast? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a podcast. I can't stop right now. And like, wait a minute, wait. You have to come outside. I was like, can I take my headphone? No, really, I tried. But they didn't want anything to do with it. Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Finish your podcast, then we will handcuff you, taser you, and bring you into the jail.
45 minutes putting Paulius on the spot.
No, it's fine.
So, yeah,
Fine.
this is...
Chris?
Hey, you guys were gone for like 45 minutes. What's going on? What did you talk about? Did you even know what was going on? Did you just like wing it? Or what
Yeah,
the fuck?
we winged it. I even
winged
did
it.
our sponsor read. So you missed it. Jesus Christ.
I feel bad. We've had like one guest that's like backed out like 5-6 times, and then we got like Chris from ForgeWorks on here like last minute, and he was doing another podcast, and he came on, and then I was like fucking gone. I mean, I don't know if you heard. Did you hear the police in the background?
No.
That would be good.
You were
that
muted.
would be good.
Thank God you were muted. We had
They
a
came-
normal
they
combo.
Heard you get tased, sadly.
They came in because I had headphones on. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm recording a podcast." Yeah, the
Pendejo!
podcast. The podcast. The podcast is over. Come outside.
What is going on?
Fuck me in the goat ass. No, I mean, yeah.
We also spoke about my Roman Gladius, which I also made like a G10 handle on, which is superb. And yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus
Keith.
Christ.
Yeah, we spoke about-
Good.
It
This
was
is good.
great.
So, my week, I'm fucked. I got fucked up the butthole.
It's the reverse episode where at the end of the episode we actually talk about each other's week. So yeah, please do tell more. What are the maybe your wife snitched on you and called the cops?
No. The three policemen came and they spit. First they were like, and they spit on my butthole, and then they shoved it in there. Hike, sir.
So you
And then you gave him the Colby 3000.
Yeah.
Double fisted Colby 3000.
Got this food. Yeah, that's how it works. Did you tell people about our new supporter of the podcast? I'm sure you did, right?
I did a sponsor read. Do you have a new patron?
A new patron? I do not have. A new.
do
But we got Midi Hell, the new sponsor.
But now you should actually
did
get
read
to the
Keith.
Patreon because Keith needs some money now.
Yeah.
He needs
Huh.
that big money.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't get any money. Last year, we almost broke even.
Hell yeah. This year is the making year because I joined
This is the money making
and
episode.
you'll make a couple of euros.
Keith
I'm
gets arrested while podcasting.
I'm gonna record. I'm gonna record this for my wife when she's like, "You fucking stupid motherfucker." I'll be like, "Hey, but this year we made some money on the podcast."
Yeah. It's profitable. We can almost buy a kebab for the year's
Yeah.
worth. Yeah.
Can't buy shit. Hey, yeah. I mean, that's how the cookie crumbles. But we got a few podcast patron supporters. If you want to hear these people, maybe they can upgrade from the euro to the 15 euros. We got Christoph Stiegler from Currency Knives. We got Sven from Nord Artisan. We got Johan Fagerland from Fagerland Bladesmith. Travis Haynes, Roy Rutten, Shay D'Argent, Paul Balletta from Balletta Handmade, Mr. Coy Baker, Alex Greenaway from Trenton Knives, Cardoso Knives, Bob Workman from The Shoe Shed, Richard Schultz, Fingal Ferguson, Oliver Tobin from Tobin Machines, Cochrane Knives, Jan Bicker, and Luke Johnson from Crafty Man Forge, Ryan Chadbourne from Hustle and Grind podcast, Brian Hunt from Hidden Roads, Rose Forge, and Mr. Gabe Fletcher. And Mr. Gabe Fletcher is actually joining us this year on the
Knife Show Austria.
he's going to be at Knife Show Austria, but he's also going to be making a knife for our charity project this year. So that's pretty cool.
Kinderlachen.
Yeah. So I'm gonna sell all the charity knives.
Charity for
Keith Lachs. It's the first show that I did to sponsor it. Yeah, great show to be a sponsor on.
Fuck. And the police were here and they're leaving, and my wife's like, "What the fuck's going on?" I'm like, "Dude," I'm like, "You have just give me a few minutes. I need to finish the podcast. I have to go in there. They're like waiting for me. It's been 45 minutes. I gotta talk with them." And she's like, "Okay, that's fine, but come back in the house when you finished."
It's like normal occurrence.
Keith is now running back to the States.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Going to the embassy, but
Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, you think it's at 46 years old you learn this shit, right?
yeah. Then you start a small business where you want to go full time at 46 years old.
I don't like to listen to people.
Don't listen to
No.
them. Like no, never. Except if they are your clients, then you need to listen to your clients because
Yeah,
they keep
that
your
I do.
business.
That I do.
Yeah, so when are you getting gray G10 in darker colors in? So you listen to your
Fuck you.
customers.
Fuck
What?
you.
Darker colors. So you want darker gray, grayest.
When do we get Tiffany liners in?
Tiffany liners, they'll come like 2032.
Oh,
Alright.
pretty quick.
I'll hold
pretty
you on
quick.
that.
On the second wave of
It's not
Tiffany.
that far away.
Perfect. Because I need it in
You
my
need-
life.
You need Tiffany liners. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do with them?
Liner.
Yeah,
Like
line up.
line up. Just line up my knives. Because I want to make cool color combinations with that, but I always have the thick stuff, but I never have the thin stuff, you know. So, and I can only get the Tiffany blue from you now. So, yeah, but you don't have the liners.
Chris, did you ever use my Carta?
Shut up. He doesn't like Makata.
No, fuck my Carter.
Yeah, I never saw a knife from you that was not G10. I think.
I made some knives with my Carter and wood,
Mhm.
but
It was shit.
yeah.
Dude,
No,
not,
but
not
I don't-
biased at all.
I don't post them that often because in the end, like, a customer is writing me and he's like, I want to have that knife with that wood, and I'm like, oh, god damn it. So that's why I don't post them that often. Same thing with, like, custom orders. I don't post my custom orders anymore because then, like, customers are, like, writing me like, yeah, I want to have the same knife. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to build that knife again.
Exactly. Like the
So
work,
yeah.
the work that you do is the work that you get. So if you showcase your custom work, you will get more custom work. And in
Yeah.
my case, I would rather eat these cheap ramen noodles for €1 or whatever than do fucking custom orders. I hate them. I hate them so much.
Yeah, sometimes it's like cool projects, but sometimes it's also like you kind of gotta do it because you kind of gotta live and eat ramen noodles and pay your rent and drive your car. And but sometimes they're just like they're not really that worth it because you have to make like so many like design changes and all that kind of stuff, and then you already told like the customer a price, and then you have to do like changes over changes, and then like
Too much time
he's not
invested.
yeah, and then in the end you cannot charge like double the or 3 times the amount, and it's super hard sometimes with custom orders. So that's why I just want to get away and just do it like you do it with like some knives, like let's say the Indomitor, the Hydra, or the Sentinel. All those blades I post the most because these are like kind of my babies, and I want to get them famous instead of like custom orders.
Maybe we are solving the custom problem from the wrong end, where you said that it takes so much time to actually talk with the client to prove out the design, to do the R&D and etc. And then for the invested time and effort, you could not charge him that amount. So maybe if we start from the other end and we say we give them this price, which is really big, to see if they really want that custom or if they can be directed to a semi-custom or a our production line.
Yeah, that is true. Also, I thought about like, because sometimes you have like customers and then you make them like 2 or 3 drawings and then in the end they never get back to you.
Waste of
So
time.
sometimes it's like charge them like, let's say $50 or so, and then for like the time and the drawing, and then when they like finally order that knife, you're taking those $50 and calculate it into the price. So you already get like paid for making all the drawings, because sometimes you just make those drawings and then they never get back to you and you put in like a lot of work, and this is sometimes also kind of annoying, and therefore you already would have gotten some of the money. But sometimes then it's also like you want to be like friendly to your customers and like speak to your customers and do like custom support. And I think it should be kind of free, but also it shouldn't, because it's still like work. If they're just writing you an email and you're like answering that email, yeah, sure. But as soon as you're doing like a drawing, there should be like kind of like a fixed amount, like, hey, this is how much a drawing costs. And if you don't want to have the money, I still sat on my computer and made that drawing for you, you know? It's like a half an hour or like an hour, depending on how intricate the knife is. So why shouldn't I get paid for that? You know, even though if he's not ordering the knife in the end.
I solved this problem by having kind of really strict guidelines on what I can customize to make it, more efficient on my end, because the whole profit of every business is profit oriented, and the profit is dependent on the efficiency. So if I cannot make it efficiently or to a price that would the customer accept, that doesn't really make sense for me to make. So I try to have as strict as possible guidelines where people ask me, can you do different materials for the handle? Let's say that is totally fine by me, because I know the handles will fit every of the blades that I have, and the Kydex sheath will fit. And if they want to change the profile of the blade, that's a no. I just don't do it, because it's not efficient. It's not optimal. Yeah. And while I would be doing that custom one-off, it's not really efficient in a bigger sense, where I could spend that time on, let's say, quickly making fast, quicker, making quicker my knives, and then having the rest of the time spending on increasing the efficiency of my process, and then
the thing is, what I like about on how you do it, you have like 3 or 4 models. You have like the
currently
one without the scales.
Angus.
And then you have the new model, and then like your standard model, I think.
Yeah, it's
like the bigger one and then the smaller one. And if I would start again, I would also do it this way, because the good thing is also, like, when people are buying your knife, they can only buy one of these 3 knives or 4 knives. And then when people are doing like photos and videos on Instagram, people will recognize you for this knife the whole time, and then people want this exact knife. And when you're doing a lot of custom orders, then they see like a knife which has like my rock pattern finish, which has my stonewash finish, where people can already recognize me, but they're still like, is that a Forgeworks now or not? And that's why I'm also doing now like the Indomitor and the Hydra, so people are recognizing me for these blade shapes. And that's why with the Indomitor I have like 4 different kind of Indomitor models, but they always have like the same handle. So people will recognize me for the handle shape. I've got like the standard Indomitor, the Tantrum version, the hunting version, the Indomitor Switch, and also the Indomitor Warncliffe. But the handle is always the same. So people will recognize me for this certain handle style. So that's why. And also now with the Sentinel blade, it has the same handle shape of the Hydra blade.
I would say it's very visible. Looking at your work, it's easy to see the rock patterning, even in your new handle texturing, where you do this stippled finished, and the other one that is like a wood grain. I don't remember how it's called.
Yeah, I call it the strife pattern.
Strife, yeah, it's a Warhammer reference. But so, but still looking at them and having these contours being rock patterned, I don't know, for me, it's very you. I can very clearly see your style in that. And also one nice information tidbit that I saw on your video, and sadly I never paid attention to it before, is the very start of the handle, that they are very similar, the angles and the shapes at the ricasso area. But I feel like it's just because the texturing on the handle is very striking and very bold, and it kind of puts the 2D contour of the front into the background, and you see this wonderful texture.
As soon as I started with the Indomitor and we had that handle shape, and then I was like, why don't I put like on all the knives the same like contour on the end of the knife, on the beginning of the handle scale? This is also like a corporate identity. It's always like similar stuff, even though it's a different knife design. But it's always like, when you look at all those knives, they still have those same kind of angles and all that kind of stuff, which is I think also a small detail. But I also like that, because in the beginning some were rounded, some were angled, and now I just have like kind of one template and I can put it on, and it's again the same thing where you can see, all right, this should be actually a Forgeworks blade.
Is the fingerprints of Forgeworks all around the blade. And I would say, and reiterate, I think we talked about it in the previous few shows, that and on the show actually, it is really important. You said it sounds kind of bad, like you said, it's a corporate identity, but the business and you as a maker, actually, you need to have an identity, and you need not to make very different work every time. You don't need to make one-off customs, or if you do a production model, it doesn't need to have a million of different looks. It needs to have a very and this is very hard, but it needs to have a distinct, recognizable look that you can clearly identify who is the maker. And this is the biggest and the hardest question in knife making and making in general, I would guess, is to become recognizable. And this is one of the most important. If you want to be successful, you need to be recognizable.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I also said it in like my latest video with the Bowie. I could have made like a kind of standard hidden tang Bowie with like a normal guard and some stabilized wood, but there are already so many makers and great videos about like a standard Bowie, and that's why I rock patterned that Bowie. That's why I rock patterned the handle of the Gladius, because this is my style and I want to make my style, and I don't want to force myself into like a certain type of, because everyone does that. Everyone does, let's say, when they are building a Bowie, they're doing that style, but that's not me. So that's why I'm doing the rock pattern style handle. And it's just a different style.
And not only that, but you are also taking, and you are a great example actually, and this is documented on YouTube. You can clearly see you trying to do different iterations, but keeping the same look, but yet adding another step on top of that, with playing with the strife pattern, with the stippled pattern.
Yeah.
And it is still maintaining that forged works look, but they
knows right away.
Yes, exactly.
that it's from ForgeWorks.
And it's still
Yeah.
more distinct than any other maker who can do just a random rock pattern. You are adding these wonderful new textures, which I did not see in any other maker doing that, especially the stripe pattern, which looks pretty cool. So,
Yeah, it was just like because I started with like the stippling, and that is the cool thing about custom orders, because I was writing with the customer and he was like, could you actually do like a texture like I got on my gun? And I was like, I could try it out. And I just had like a random piece of G10 lying around, and I just took that round ball thing on the Dremel, and I just tried it out, and I was like, that is actually pretty cool. And then I had like this idea, why don't I just drag down the Dremel and see how it looks? And then I was like, that is cool. And now I haven't posted it yet, but I've also made like a stripe pattern which is horizontal, not vertical, on a knife. So it's more like on your knives you have those lines going down on the handle. It's kind of like that, but also in that kind of stripe pattern. I also tried that out, but I think the vertical stripe is a little bit cooler, but it's just you can still see it is made by me. So yeah, pretty cool.
I'm gonna call my lawyer up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sue you using grooves
Please do.
on the handle and
Yeah.
doing a sharp thingy. Look, it's totally mine.
I actually had that when I started out knife making, and I posted like a knife which didn't have any kind of scales on it, and it did like rock pattern on it, and I posted it into like a Facebook group, and one guy wrote me. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to sue you. You stole my rock pattern." I was like, "What is going on?" And I checked him out, and like, because he made like also rock pattern kind of knives, like on scaleless knives, and like his post didn't got any kind of attraction. And like people went like crazy on my pattern, and I think he was kind of pissed because my
Oh, jealous. Yeah.
pattern was actually more like better, or so
More stone,
Yes,
more rocky.
more rocky.
So one of the like really standout things that we had in like last year with the charity knife project with Cleaning for Goodness, we had 20 knives from different knife makers with the same knife shape, and Chris made a knife. What was it? Orange, and what was the two colors you used?
Yeah, black and orange. It was. I thought it was a really cool idea, and I hope still that the guy is happy about the knife. He got a knife kind of basically for free. He paid like, let's say $20 if you got a ticket or so. It was a really cool idea, but in the end, it looked like a bumblebee, so it's like a bumblebee knife. But it was still different, and you could say like, yeah, that's a ForgeWorks knife.
Yeah, it did like a bumblebee a little bit, but definitely, like you said, everybody who saw that thing, if they knew you or followed you a little bit, they would know that that's your knife style, and they got the knife from you, and knew that it was from you by looking at it, and from
Yeah,
the way you made.
especially when you looked at all those 20 knives, you could definitely tell this is a ForgeWorks.
It stood a little bit, yeah. It stood out. Not a bad thing. I mean,
No, not at all. And sometimes it's like, because now I'm getting into like forging more Damascus, and I also really love like integral knives, and now it is cool for me to make like those classical integral knives, but I'm also looking into how can I implement my style into those knives, which is like, I tried it once, but I wasn't super happy with the rock pattern and everything on the integral knife, but I'm trying to figure out how can I implement my style into a knife like that as well.
Into like, you mean like out of like kitchen knives and something out of the ordinary?
Yeah, like with a normal full tang knife, it's super easy. I've made like a lot of kitchen knives with like rock pattern and all that kind of stuff, but integral knives are a little bit different from how they feel, how they should feel and everything. So I've made now like 3 classical integral knives now, but I'm trying to see how can I implement my style more. How could I maybe not a rock pattern, but how can I maybe add the strife pattern into a handle or so. So I just got to look more into that and figure out a way to implement also my style. But because in the end, it's just like a classical integral knife, but I also want to have my style in it. It should be a Forgeworks. It shouldn't be just a cool integral Damascus knife. It should be a cool integral knife from Forgeworks, which you can recognize immediately. Okay, even though this is forged, it is made by Forgeworks. You know what I mean?
It should be G10 for sure.
Yeah. I tried it out on like a small one with like green G10. But I have to see if I can get like, because you only got black and OD green and brown as G10 blocks, I think.
I only have, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe I can also like glue some G10 plates together and then have like a thicker piece. But then sometimes you get like small little glue up lines in there. So it still should look kind of clean. But
yeah, you gotta use the right glue.
Gotta use the right glue. Which glue do you recommend?
The glue that you can't see the lines on.
Is it alcohol based?
It's alcohol based. Yes.
No, that's a lubricant. That's social lubricant.
That's what she said.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, do you have a surface grinder or a disc grinder?
I do have a disc grinder.
So you should.
I also have a surface grinder for my belt grinder, but it is shit. And my disc grinder is also shit. My 2 disc grinders. So
because you should even. Let me finish, please, Keith. Let me finish.
Yeah, I did.
You should grind them. You should grind them even the G10 and then try to glue up, because when G10 comes in, it is not perfectly straight, and there are pockets where the glue could fill up more. And
it's perfect.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, but the thing is also sometimes when I grind it on my disc grinder, also the corners are getting like rounded off a bit. So I rather do it like on a granite surface plate with some sandpaper on it.
It really depends how you are holding it on your disc grinder, because if you imagine a disc grinder, the corners are turning faster and removing material faster of the disc than in the middle of it. So it would be just logical, to remove it from the corners faster. But you need to make it even flat, and the G10 itself is actually layered just glass fiber. So if you get them pretty even to the point that they stick together without any glue, you can pick it up a little bit from the table while pushing to each other.
Yeah, I never got that
really
to work. No.
Yeah.
I'm like super lazy with like, I hate flattening stuff, hate like getting stuff to like a corner, like especially with like integral knives, to get like everything with that tang sticking out there and get everything nice and flat. It's just this is my like kryptonite. And like also filing guards, it is my kryptonite.
Yeah, that sucks. But I have a tip for flattening G10, especially if you want to do like not a super big block, but just a fatter stack of G10. That is like, let's say 5 centimeters to 12 centimeters. When you are putting it on your disc grinder, and it can be just like with a sandpaper of 120. When you put it on the disc grinder and you can see that the piece of G10 is actually rubbing in the center, just flip it over and grind it from the other side, because it means it is cupped and the cupping is going now up. So you are grinding on the corners, and then it is way more even and faster to grind that way. And if you do this with 2 pieces, you can get them to the air sticking evenness pretty easy.
Gotta try it out again. But also my disc grinder is like super wobbly and everything, so yeah.
Wobble.
What are you using for a disc grinder?
Oh, it's a self-made disc grinder. It's just like a motor, and then I've bought like a disc grinding plate, and then I'm using like spray adhesive, sticking it on, cutting it around.
You're like,
And I also have like a kind of cheapo disc grinder, which you can get like a kind of Home Depot style, and it already only runs in like one speed, and you have to like put those self-adhesive.
That sucks. Don't buy it.
And they are like not really great.
I mean,
Martin Huber has the same one, but his one is like nicer because he can put like this plate, this work rest much closer to the disc grinder. And mine has like a centimeter of a gap, so if I'm grinding like super small pieces of G10, they're just getting sucked into there, and I get like no really right angles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the difference. I mean, everybody starts out at some point and they're like trying to save some money, and I'm all for that. Of course, you can't like buy everything right away, but through the years and through making knives, and you need to figure out what's right for you and where you can save the money and where you can't. That kind of shit is important, huh? Right? You buy a grinder or buy a disc grinder, or you buy a forge, or you whatever the fuck you're buying for tools. If you think you're gonna go full time or try to go full time, buy the shit that helps you save time and make money. And of course, disc grinder or this grinder that you're talking about is not something everybody needs. I mean, most people don't even have them or don't need them, because now you can buy like a surface grinder attachment for your regular grinder and all that kind of crap.
But also those surface grinding attachments for the belt grinders, they're also not super flat sometimes. Sometimes they're like grinding, and then you have to like regrind them, and then it still doesn't, and then like the attachment is a little bit wobbly, and then everything gets cattywampus and all that kind of stuff. So, and the main thing I bought this grinder for was to reduce the time on hand sanding. So when I do like a chef knife, I can put like your file guide on, and then I can just like put some sandpaper on, like I'm grinding my knife on the belt grinder to a 120 grit finish. And then I go over to the disc grinder with like a 240 grit finish, and I take it up to 600 grit finish, and then I can like really easy do the hand sanding afterwards. So that's and therefore the disc grinder works perfectly. And this is the most thing, because as you said, G10 is 99% really flat, especially for knife making. Like,
and you do that with the file guide. You do like finish.
Yeah, so I don't like ruin the plunge line on the disc grinder. So I have like a stop on it, and then I can get like really nice plunge lines and all that kind of stuff. So I just put that file guide on the plunge line, and then I just grind it on the disc grinder. I think Fader knives, Jeff Fader also does it on like this way. That's why I've bought the disc grinder, because of Jeff was already always speaking about that when he started out with the knife making podcast. He was always praising the disc grinder and how much time he saved, and it's actually true. It saves a lot of hand sanding time with like chef knives.
Actually, this is also the same reason why I bought it, and I don't do any hand sanding.
Yeah, the only thing, time when I do like hand sanding is like on Damascus blades nowadays, and maybe sometimes on chef knives. But when I started out knife making, my really high grit finishes on the belt grinder were kind of shitty, and now I can take up like the knife on like a 400 grit finish on my belt grinder, and then I don't have to take it to the disc grinder. I can just hand sand it, especially with like carbon steel. It's actually pretty easy to hand sand compared to like a stainless steel like a Nyalox or like a Magna Cutter. So they are horrible to hand sand. But with carbon steels, if you got like a really good belt grinding finish, it's super nice. And also the good thing about the disc grinder is when you're hand sanding your knife on the disc grinder, you get like a super nice and even surface. Because sometimes when you're grinding like super long blades, you get like little bumps in it from the belt grinder, and with that you can just grind them out super easily.
I would say it doesn't really matter what kind of finish you do. It can even be like, high grit hand sanding finish, or even low grit, like 120 or 180. Belt finish, the most important thing for it to look nice is consistency. Not to have any bumps, not to have any too deep scratches, because it is really clearly visible. And, to say that a belt finish only looks nice if you take it to a high grit, it doesn't really. It doesn't really matter. You need consistency. The key is consistency. And actually today I made a Angus scalpel from Dark Mai, which is made from 80 CRV on the outside and also in the middle, with nickel in between.
Yeah, and I've seen that. That looked amazing.
Thank you. And it was, I think I worked with carbon steel I haven't worked with it for 2 years, maybe 3. For 2 years for sure. And I don't like it. I hate carbon steel, actually. It has a very distinct smell. It smells very sour. And also it rusts. It rusts while you are grinding and dipping it into the water to cool it down. It's way easier to grind than stainless steel, but I don't think I can go back. I don't think. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Also, the thing is, I have spoken with a knife maker on Saturday, and I thought he had like a 400 grit finish on his knives, like a belt sanded finish. And I've asked him, like, what kind of finish do you put on? And he said, like, oh, it's just a 120 grit finish. Maybe I take it up sometimes to like a 180 grit finish, and I just take it to like a surface conditioning belt, and that's it.
Exactly.
And I was like, dude, that finish looks amazing.
And you cannot really, when you are doing it, the belt finish, you cannot, if let's say you are grinding with 120 and it is a little worn, you need to finish with a fresh 120 or not so worn, just because it is rubbing and creating like these. It's pretty hard to say, but it is like, it is not actually cutting.
It glances off, kind of like.
And you can clearly see, and it is very uneven, just because the belt itself is wearing unevenly. So you need to have a fresher, more even finishing belt, which is at the same grit, and then you can get really good results.
The best finishes I get when I use a fresh Trizac belt. Like a fresh Trizac belt, unused, and then you just like zoop, and then it is perfect. It looks so good. And then you use that Trizac belt after like 1 minute, and the finish goes to the dumpster.
But they are very expensive.
Yeah. But you can also take like those wire brushes which you're using for the forge to kind of like get rid of the old abrasive to knock it down, and then you get like fresh abrasive underneath it, but it's not perfect.
Yeah, I tried it in the past. Actually, I have the very first Scotch-Brite belt that I have ever bought, like 7 years ago.
Motherfucker.
7 years ago, it still works perfectly. And the Trizac belts that I have bought 7 years ago.
The only problem I see with Trizac belts is I started to use them again this year and last year again, and I really do like them, but they're not really good for grinding plunge lines because they're so thick and they don't really move that nicely. And when you're grinding, like when you're putting that knife into that plunge line, the abrasive is made so it can like it dissolves.
Fucking dies. Well, call the ambulance. Krankenwagen.
And the abrasive is made so it disintegrates after a while. So you get the fresh abrasive. So if you're like pushing that plunge line into that belt, the abrasive just goes away. It doesn't hold up like a 120 grit belt or like an aluminum oxide belt with like a 400 grit finish or so. It's super weird with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also with the surface conditioning belt, I also had one, and this belt made me so much money because, you know, the company Hall, which is doing the sharpening, tool.
Yeah. The-
And they were on right next to me. They were actually my neighbors when I moved into my new workshop.
oh, really?
Yeah. And now they're just like over the street in their new office. And because sometimes customers because they're going to a lot of shows, customers are using the horl differently or wrongly, and then they're scratching up the flat side of the knife instead of sharpening the knife because they're pressing too hard on it, and then they're like rolling that whole thing about the flat side of the knife, and then you got like super horrible scratches in the knife. And I get them always to refurbish, so I just have to take the surface conditioning belt to them and clean up those knives. And I had like one conditioning belt, and it held up for like 4 years or even longer. And I refurbished a lot of knives for them, and then I ground my tactical sword on my 16-inch contact wheel, which wasn't a good idea because I chopped through the surface conditioning belt hooked on to the sword. It chopped through the surface conditioning belt into my 16-inch contact wheel.
Jesus Christ. Did you, how many times did you shit your pants while that happened?
He figured out how to use the whore efficiently.
The biggest problem I have, there are two big problems I had when that happened. Firstly, I ruined a 600 to 700 euro contact wheel. And secondly, I didn't have it on video.
Wait. How did you ruin the contact wheel?
I was grinding on, like with the surface conditioning belt, I had like the sword and it had like a hollow grind.
Yeah.
And I was grinding on it. And because of the hollow grind, I had the sword too deep. And then, like in the hand position, I had it too deep. And then I pushed the sword I tilted the sword just a little bit. And then the contact wheel, like the surface conditioning belt, came over the edge of the sword and it grabbed it. And because I had my work rest underneath me, my hands were quite firm. And then it cut through the surface conditioning belt into my grinding wheel. And it chucked the sword out of my hands.
Yeah.
And last Monday, also surface conditioning belt, I cleaned up some Damascus pieces on my surface conditioning belt. And because the belt was quite fresh and it wasn't sitting perfectly flat on the flat platen, and I ground, and then it hooked on one of the small steel pieces, and I ground out a really nice chunk out of my thumb with 80 grit surface conditioning belt. So they are cool, but they are also really dangerous.
Yeah, they are cheat codes, but dangerous.
And the only thing I also don't like about them is sometimes they're washing out your lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So you gotta be, especially when you want to do like a two-tone finish, and then you want to have like a super clean line, and then they're washing out that line.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. My knives are, at least the Varnas models, are two-tone, just because the flats are sandblasted, and I want bevels to be nice and shiny, and if you try to do it with a Scotch-Brite belt, it's a no-no, because it is really washing out the top line of the bevel, and then it doesn't look sharp, doesn't look fuzzy, it looks just off.
Yeah. That's the only problem, but you get such a nice finish with them. It's like, super tricky. So you always gotta use fresh belts. Keith, are you selling knife belts?
Dude, I'm
He's
selling
fucked.
anything I can. I'm selling anything I can right now. I'm selling my body.
Oh yeah, his tight goat ass.
Wow.
Maybe it's time to close the show and just go to the after show.
There's no we have after show.
I don't know. Yeah, we can do an after show.
No.
Keith does everything you want. No.
I do everything. But I want to say one thing quick about ForgeWorks or Stock Removal Works. Are you're forging now, right?
Orgyworks.
Yeah.
Okay. About ForgeWorks. ForgeWorks has joined us last year for the knife charity project, and he's with us this year. We had a little misunderstanding with some of our guests that were gonna make knives for us, and some of these big name people, sometimes they don't answer us right away, or they don't have time, or whatever. And he agreed to make a knife for us. He's gonna do a backup knife if somebody decides that they can't make one in time, which has happened a few times. ForgeWorks is gonna back us up. It's gonna have a knife made for us. I think you're gonna do a video, right? I think that'll be cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna do it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna show us how it's made. The knife design from Ben Camone. I think it'll be a good thing. Hopefully, if it doesn't work out, that you don't become part of the project, that you can at least sell that knife. I think it'll be a cool video and cool explanation. And we're happy to have you and thankful that you joining us in the project and making a backup knife for us. Because
Sure. It's just like shit happens like that, and we've spoken on the phone about it. And if there are like bigger names out there and we can get more for the kids, I don't want to be selfish and say like I want to be in that project, because it is a charity project, and the more money we can raise with that project, the better. You know, if we have some bigger names than me in there, all good for that. And yeah, it is way better than instead of me saying like I was in that project because I'm ForgeWorks. No, this is not right, and I wouldn't feel good about that.
That was a tough decision. It's not always easy, but sometimes you gotta make decisions. And I'm super happy to have you in the project and that you're making the backup knife. And hopefully, at least with the video, we can get maybe some recognition and people looking at you and people looking at us, and that it works out for both of us. So thanks for
It's all good.
Thanks for being there.
All right, do we go into the after show now?
And I don't know.
I gotta wake up at like 4:30.
I missed 45 minutes of it because the police, the police were like fucking me in the butthole the whole time. So I don't know what happened.
Keith is waking at the same time. Now he's going to sleep in the cell.
Hey, and now I have to go in the house. My wife's gonna fucking shit on me the whole time.
Yep.
So.
But you deserve it.
We can hold that podcast until like
Hey, I'll
tomorrow.
Should I take the mic with me in the house so you guys can get
but please
exclusive?
But please speak in English. Your wife.
I think that the two of you guys, I mean, I wouldn't say you're both the same, but I think you're on the same path. I think you guys have a really good business plan. You guys are making knives. Everybody who sees your knives, they know that it's yours. They might be semi-production based, but you have a really good price point. And I think when you start doing some more shows, Paulius, especially you, when you start doing some more shows, that you're going to see that you are selling way more knives than all the other kitchen knife people and all the other fucking dudes. I mean, not that they're making bad knives. I just think the price point is a huge thing. It's more of like it's an affordable knife, and a way for the price that people are paying for those knives for the both of you. I think that they're getting a super like an insane value. Like I don't know, but I see that from the shows that I go to, that what you guys are selling, both of you, the price point is crazy for the amount of work you guys put into
Don't
that
make
in the
me
background.
don't make me blush.
I don't want you to start crying.
Martin on the
but-
show.
Yeah.
If we would have Martin on the show, he would say like, make your knives more expensive.
Yeah, but
Yeah, well,
who cares?
Bring the value. Bring the
Yeah,
value.
exactly. I'm looking at what my customers actually want, listening to your customers and trying to provide very distinct products that you can trace back to me, that it is Baltic Blades made, and also not, a big part of the price point is on me and having an efficient operation, and I can have, I can sell knives for 500, 600 euros, but still don't make any good profit of it, and that doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
if I have a tight operation, it's really delivering value that is recognizable for a good price point to my customers, and not trying to appeal to every fucking customer ever. If I would start making 300 different models of knives, including kitchen, folding knives, outdoor knives, and whatever, then I would lose any recognition that is, possible to pinpoint what is possible. Yeah, only loss actually by trying to throw a very broad net onto the customer base. What you need to do actually is to focus on a very, very narrow, minimal viable group of people that is a viable audience for you to survive as a knife maker, and try to fulfill their needs as directly as fucking possible, so they are not happy, but they are fucking stoked with your product, and that is good enough. Because nobody cares about averages,
Totally.
Chris was just recently at a show. I can't remember the name of the show, but you had like some.
We talked about
some.
He won.
Yeah, he won. Of course he won. But you had some things. You had some things where you couldn't put the knives out like on the table. You had to put them behind the glass case and all that kind of crap.
I wasn't sure about that, so I rather kept them behind like closed doors, behind like glass, because it was like super unclear. But in the end, there were like other like booths that had them just laying on their table. So it was just like, I just didn't want them to come around on like Tuesday and say like, yep, you gotta close everything down. And I just had that small glass thing where you can put like, let's say 20 knives in, or maybe even less.
Yeah.
And that's why I get like quickly like a bigger one where I could showcase like all my knives. And in the end, it was super cool, because then I could like showcase like all of my knives, and I had like different storages where I had like on one storage there was like the Indomitor blade, on the other one there was just a Hydra blade. So that was super cool, and like people could see all the knives in the end, instead of having them like just a couple on the table and with like a black blanket underneath it. And yeah, it was kind of cool, but I wasn't sure how everything would work now with the new knife laws, even though not that much has changed, but they're now like much stricter. They're much more looking out for stuff like that. And therefore, I was just much more careful, because I didn't want them to close down my booth on, like, let's say the first day or so.
Yeah, and was that a problem, or do you think you lost sales because of that, or?
No. Maybe there were some customers who said like, "Oh, you're selling the knives, but why should I buy a knife which I cannot carry anymore?" I'm like, dude, have you seen the law? He was like, yeah, you're not allowed to carry it. I'm like, dude, you can still carry up to 12 centimeters of blade length in Germany, a fixed blade. And he was like, no, it got changed. I'm like, dude, look at the law. Here it is. It hasn't changed. It was like super weird, and people were just like confused at the show, like, what are you allowed to carry? What are you not allowed to carry? And especially in like the hunting community, because if you do something wrong, even with like a knife, and you carry it at the wrong place, you can lose your hunting license.
Really?
And all your guns and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be super, super careful. And nowadays, now that I'm doing my hunting license, I don't carry a knife anymore outside, because if you're taking the train, you're not allowed to carry in there. If you're like in some parts of the city, you're not allowed to carry a knife. So yeah, there are some spots where you're not allowed to carry, and I'm just more, because nowadays they're looking out more for that stuff. And even on the show, there were some guys who were walking around the show and checked out people if they would carry a knife on the show or not. And it's so dumb, because those guys, they're getting like checked by the state from the Verfassungsschutz, you know, which is like they're checking everything, they're making background checks and all that kind of stuff, and they're like the gun community and gun owners in Germany, they're one of the most law-abiding citizens, in my guess, because we are getting so quickly punished and our guns are taken away by even making like small mistakes, you know, like Keith with you now with like drunk in the car, guns are gone, you know. So this is like just like we have to be super careful with everything. Even if I do something wrong with my taxes, I could lose my guns. So
that's probably the next fucking thing where I get pinched, because I don't listen to that shit. I carry a knife with me everywhere. I go into Germany, I have a flipper knife. I got the spring-loaded knife. I should probably be a little bit more careful with that. You gotta learn from those fucking things.
If I wouldn't have my gun license or my hunting license, I wouldn't even care that much, because then it's just like a small thing, and you would have to pay maybe let's say $100 or so, and then everything would be fine. But if they see that you're a gun owner,
then it's even more.
They're cranking it up, and then they're trying to take away your guns. And this is, I think, the problem, because the gun owners in Germany, the most law-abiding citizens, because they know with just a small fuck up, they can lose all their guns, they can lose their hunting license and all that kind of stuff, and they work their asses off for that, because the hunting license and everything that comes afterwards is super, super tough and also expensive. And it's just super weird. If those guys want to do something stupid, they got like an AR-15 at home, which they could load up and do really, really bad shit. And if they're out in, let's say, in the city or so with just a knife because they forgot it in their pocket, because they were maybe on the day before, they were out in the woods doing stuff for the animals and all that kind of stuff, then they're getting fucked.
Yeah.
So you have to be super, super careful. And you have seen that on the show, that people were kind of like confused with the new laws. People also didn't know what have changed, but they also haven't looked into the law, what actually have changed, which is also a problem. They've just seen some stuff on the media that maybe this law is coming and maybe not. And then they just thought, yeah, this happened now, but it didn't. And this is like a big problem. And
it's super unclear, and not like it's really a tough situation for people. I mean, obviously you don't go to watch like a soccer game and bring a folding knife with you in your pocket because you're out in public. But what is allowed and what is not allowed? And then the next question is, some things are allowed, and then you go on the train and that's not allowed, or you go into the city and it's not allowed. So what do you do with that knife that you carry with you all the time? Where do you leave it?
Kind of lock it up.
It's crazy.
So you have to actually, like, when you have like a bag, there are those TSA locks with that wire lock. You can use those and just put them between those zippers on your bag, and then just zip it up, and then it's locked. That's fine.
Yeah, but
from my understanding.
But is it fine? But is it fine? Because not all the people on the police force know those exact rules.
Yeah, but then
you run into that also.
Yeah, but then they're taking away that knife, and then you go through that process, and then in the end they will say like, yeah, we made a wrong call. Everything was good. The knife was locked away.
Yeah, but that process costs you a day from your job. You have to take a day off. You have to go to court. You have to talk to them. You have to fight them. And I mean, of course, if that happens, you need to go through with it, because people need to understand. The police officers on the street need to understand those laws, and you need to go through with it, even though it costs you a day at your job and it costs you a shitload of money to get. I don't know what kind of. I mean, we've seen like the grandmother with the Swiss Army knife. I mean, that was. I mean, that was an awesome example. But
the same thing happened on the show.
Yeah.
Actually, as I said before, they were checking guys for knives, and they found knives because they knew
Of course they
it is
did.
a hunting show, and people, they're having their hunting clothes on, and of course
Yeah.
there will be most of the times a knife on there. And the years before, no one cared, and now they just check them to get the quote up. Like, we have now a
Exactly,
new knife
yeah.
law,
Oh,
and
oh,
now we
look,
are controlling, especially where
Yeah, with the
guys are going
fucking,
to carry.
the fucking badasses,
then-
and we're keeping knife off the street from this 80-year-old lady. She's got a Swiss Army knife in her pocket with, with
Yeah.
yeah. It's fucking,
But
it's fucking.
it
crazy.
is how it is.
Sucks, man.
I'm-
Sucks to live in
I'm
Germany
I'm happy
or
that
Austria.
not that much has actually changed, because the law was in there before that you couldn't take a knife to, let's say, a soccer game or
course, yeah.
like a show.
That's
But-
understandable.
But now they're just So nothing that much has changed. They just have clarified stuff a little bit better, I would say. But people are now confused. But the good thing is, in the like EDC community, people read the law about knives, because in the gun community they're reading the laws about their firearms, but not really about like knife laws and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And in the EDC community, like the most dangerous thing that can get in trouble is the knife, so they're checking the knife law, and then on like the knife shows and all that kind of stuff, people know about the law, and then they know, so you don't have that guesswork in the end, and which is really good. And then they are still going to buy their knives because they know actually the law and what is good and what is not, and what is allowed.
I think that stuff needs to be like really, really clear somehow, or there needs to be like some place where you can like download something and print it out. Maybe if you're a knife carrier, take it with you, because I think a lot of the police are also not like completely informed on what the laws are.
I've spoken to a lot of police officers, and there are also knife collectors. They know the law, and some said, yeah, it's just like the width of your hand.
Right.
Or it's like 6 centimeters.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, dude, that's not the law. Like, what are you talking about?
And that
like, check
that
the
can
law.
that can cost you a day's work because he doesn't know, and then
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it.
But also, the thing is, I don't want to shit on the police. They have so much work to do,
Exactly.
and then you cannot remember.
like taking my
everything.
license away.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there should be like, I mean, maybe some place where you can like officially print that shit out, take it with you, and if the police officer doesn't know, you don't have to start a fight with him, but you can say, look, I know how it
you
works.
can actually.
Look, this is the official thing, this official website, some kind of like headliner on this piece of paper that you print out and say, this is what it is, and I can't take it here, and I can't take it there, or whatever. And maybe you could just inform each other, and instead of being like the immediate criminal, because there's nobody in the EDC community that's carrying a knife around stabbing people. That I guarantee you that doesn't happen. We're not the problem, but somebody has to address this problem, and they think they're making it better by eliminating people from carrying their knives around, and they're actually. It doesn't change anything, because if you're gonna stab somebody, then you're gonna take a knife, or you're gonna take a screwdriver, or you're gonna take something. It's not
England.
us. I mean, we know that, and the community knows that, and maybe the police officers, I don't know if they know that or not, but they have to
They're
do something.
just getting orders from the top, like
exactly. Yeah.
Check there, check there, check there. We gotta get the quotes up.
Right.
So it's not their fault. Like, I don't blame them. In the end, they're also just doing their job as we do our jobs. And they're doing great work, I would say, most of the times. And it's just like politics. But we are in a podcast about knives, so let's don't get into politics, I would say.
I mean, this is about knives, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
but
I would say, but I could say from another angle that the police in America are like completely against that. If you like try to show them a piece of paper, they would fucking like lock you up for 25 other things because they thought you were being a smart ass. But in Europe, it's not that way. Like in Europe, if you like, try to like reasonably tell them like, or even if they saw that you had a Stanley Mesa or knife with you, you'd be like, "This is what I have. I'm in my work pants, and the knife is in my work pants." It wouldn't be a problem. In America, they'd be like, pull guns out, tase you, fucking lock you up for the weekend. It's like it's completely different.
I would say it's the same with the knife laws, and especially being a community. We here talking on it about it on the podcast. It is just actually bitching about how bad it is. But we live in a democracy, and we have tools that we can use as a community, to fight against legislation that would negatively impact, and especially people who are, like you say, you are carrying it for your work or for whatever, the ridiculousness that goes into UK about knife laws. If there is no, let's say, massive strikes or whatever, the French are very good at striking, and we don't use these tools that are given to us as a community to fight against these laws, then nothing will change, and we will just bitch and complain, but yield to these new laws. And that's it. If you don't take legal action against it, you don't organize people around it, don't do protests or whatever to actually show that it is very important to you, and just go and bitch on the internet or on this famous podcast, it doesn't change anything.
This famous podcast.
Exactly. We are not.
But there needs to be a medium. There needs to be. I mean, just the average person saying this is not right isn't going to change something. We need to come together as a community and find a way to have a reasonable argument and a reasonable discussion without flipping out and being like a bunch of Karens about this bullshit, and say why, and like say what we don't agree with and what is reasonable. Like you can't just take all of our rights away because people have used knives since the beginning of time. Like how are you gonna like cut your bread or butter your bread or fucking cut an apple when you're hiking or like all kinds of bullshit. I mean, we all understand that. Yeah. Use your teeth. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And they can ban anything. They can ban even natural shit that you can find in the nature. But look, listen.
Listen.
Exactly.
Listen.
Look. If the community actually exists, there are probably guilds, associations, clubs that have actual legal power, about being a consulting entity for the people who are making these laws, and to make it reasonable, the people making these laws, they say, look, we will ban this because this causes or allows to happen X, Y, and Z. And then the community, guilds, associations, or even members of, just the community, proclaimed community, need to come in with arguments actually how it will negatively impact people. Just because we come here, and say, oh, this will restrict me carrying the knife. Of course it will. But you are not actually giving a solid argument how it will actually negatively impact you,
Right. And that's why those kind of I think like the knife maker guilds and Ulking, the German knife maker guilds and things like that. We need to have more of that. We need to have more of those people coming together. Where they've had these kind of it's called the Verein in German. These groups or these clubs where they have people that have been part of this club for years and years and years, and we can come together. And you have more of a voice when you're not bitching about something, but you're saying your reasons why you don't agree with it.
Exactly. And like
we need more of that.
Like Chris is saying about the hunters and losing your license by not properly using your knife or whatever. You need to, it's a huge community of hunters, which is
those are the people that officially have actually taken a class and they've actually studied and they've actually taken a test and they've passed it, and they will be more punished than the average person on the street because they have that
and
qualification.
And this is the power of them because they did the steps, they went through the program. There is a huge passionate community of them, which I guess they can easily unite around this issue and find some argumentation to present to the people who are taking in these laws and showcase how many people will be affected, how it is important. Like hunters are really important for taking care of the animal population, and basically you are disrupting their work, and maybe there can be workarounds for hunters or whatever. And even if more people go and from different professions and different guilds or whatever go and say this is bad for us because X, Y, and Z, then they should listen. These things are recorded, these not directions, but like when you speak directly to the person, these usually get made public and you can get publicity then, and politicians hate bad publicity.
Yeah, but the thing is also what I've also seen is that like some hunters, because when we are doing like hunting, we are allowed to carry then that knife. When we are doing that job, in air quotes, let's say, then we're allowed to, of course, we're going to allowed to carry the gun and also the knife. So they're saying, well, I don't get interrupted by doing my hunting stuff because I can still use the knife while I'm hunting. But the thing is, they often forget, like, what is now you are back home, you put your gun back into your safe, but you forget one of your knives in your pocket. And then you go out to the city afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you get controlled.
And then you say you were hunting single moms. And that's
you're hunting the punani. No,
exactly.
No. So I was on vacation not too long ago, and we went to Scotland, and I visited a knife maker, and this knife maker has been part of the hunting community for years and years and years, and he hunts like every other weekend, and he's had so many problems with. I mean, the police are like non-existent in this area, but all of the problems that he's ever had when he gets pulled over is for the knives. They see he has got like stickers on his car for his like his business, and that he sells knives and all that kind of stuff. And he could have like an AK-47 in the car, and they'll be like, "Hey, what's that butter knife you got there? What are you doing with that knife?"
That's ridiculous.
I mean, he's like told me like so many problems. Like honestly, like they don't care about the knives or the guns that he has in the car. It's the knives. It's the knives that he's driving around with, not the guns.
I have a solution for him. He needs to buy a Bayonetta knife to fix it in front of the AK.
Or just like some magnets and just stick like a whole bunch of knives on top of a pistol.
It's not a knife, sir. It's not a knife. This is a Bayonetta for stabbing people when I shoot them.
Just get a trenching shovel.
Yeah, trenching shovel. Exactly.
It's I mean, it's the publicity. It's bad. It's fucking bad publicity. I mean, the people are stabbing people with. I mean, let's be honest. Like 99% of them are kitchen knives, right? Nobody's buying a kitchen knife from Camon and stabbing somebody with it. They're not going to spend $600, $700, $800 and stabbing people with it. This is like IKEA kitchen knives because the kitchen knife is accessible, right? You get pissed off, you take the kitchen knife with you, and you stab somebody with it.
Take your pocket Camon stabber shiv.
Yeah,
and you just go ape shit,
We gotta bully him into making stabby knives.
Oh, your flesh doesn't stick to the blade so much. The flesh release is so great.
Good food release.
And
flesh release.
And then they came out with like these like restrictions. It's a zombie knife. Anything that's like toxic green, like this like high visible green, and named anything with a zombie knife. You would only buy that if you're trying to kill people with it. So those are like, I mean, that's
Are you serious?
At least in America, anything named as like a zombie knife or survival or Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Toxic green is like the color. If you want to make a knife and sell it, don't make it fucking green. Don't make it green.
Really? But what about
Yeah.
like survival knives mean actually not, they are not killing knives, they are for survival. You know?
Yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
totally opposing.
yeah, but I mean, tactical zombie knife, anything tactical, anything. It's like it's the wording. It's like we're fucking Instagram, fucking blacklisting people just because of the name of the knife.
Yeah. What you gonna do?
I got blacklisted.
Same here. But who cares? Who cares? You
Yeah.
you just do. You know, Instagram for me is just bullshitting, DMing, and chatting with my knife maker mates. That's about
Yeah,
it.
but it wasn't for at some point. I mean, there's nothing we. Yeah, everybody
I'm in the
talks
next
about it.
I'm in the next generation where I came here and I got fucked instantly. And I never saw the golden age of Instagram, and I don't really care about that because I don't have, you know, the nostalgia. And I
Yeah,
try
but
to
was-
make it.
It was great. I wouldn't
And
say you
The
should care
crazy
about it, but
thing
it
now
was
is
great.
with-
It
The
was.
only messages I get now from like Instagram is like from guys who are sending me memes.
Mhm.
This like it turned into like just like a meme platform now, and especially like I also have the whole time like I've got like 2 normal posts from guys that I follow, and then I get like 3 memes shown from sites that I don't even follow. And-
What? That's strange.
It is
Hello,
Okay,
sir.
wait.
Hello, sir. We
Wait,
saw
I will help
Damascus
you out.
knives.
I will help you out. Dear listeners of this podcast, please send the gayest possible memes to Forgeworks.
please do.
Please.
Why are you gay?
But, okay.
Why?
Look, listen, dudes. I have a hard exit now. I have to go. Sorry to leave.
Are you going to drink?
Nah. I got to go. I have to go. If I want to live, I have to go.
Oh, sexy
You
time.
know. Yeah. Sure. No, survival. If
Okay.
I don't want to die, you know. So
All right, man. I also have to wake up at 4:30. It's like 11 o'clock at night.
I'd like to keep going because my wife's gonna bitch me out when I get home.
Keith, you gotta survive that. by
Yeah.
yourself,
Save me.
You know?
Save
Yeah.
me.
Keith, sleep in your workshop. And Albert,
So
it was not me this time.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a great
All right.
it was a great
all
shit
right,
show.
guys. I missed the first 45 minutes because I was talking with the police.
It's
but
fine. It was a
It
normal
was great
show.
talking with you guys.
Don't forget to save it, please.
Hopefully, I get to see you guys at all the knife shows this year. We'll see.
That's how we end the show.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Hell yeah.
Jesus Christ, bunch of amateurs.